Today is a historic day in the boating and fishing industry because the Smart Head by Autoboat is here. This is a cheap $300 tiller handle Minn Kota Enduro Max from Amazon, but now it has spot lock, navigation, and is fully smart and remote controlled. This is the biggest innovation in boating. Today we are going to get our first impressions of the Autoboat, and stay tuned because I've got full tutorials on how to turn any super cheap Amazon budget trolling motor into a smart motor. We're gonna have tutorials, we're gonna have pros and cons, full-blown review, and today we just get to play with it. I am so excited. Although right off the bat, I am a little bit sketched out because this is rated for a 40-pound thrust, and this is a 55-pound thrust Minn Kota Enduro Max, so it's heavy, and it doesn't quite line up with that right, so we'll see how today goes. Let's get launched. I'm gonna find some wind protection, and we're gonna see what this Autoboat Smart Head is really made of. This is absolutely unbelievable. I never thought in a million years that I would be able to have spot lock, a remote control, on the world's cheapest John boat, on a $300 tiller Minn Kota. This is unbelievable. So we're gonna drive up here a little ways. We're gonna see how it performs. We are in some heavy wind and current, and it is scooting us right along. And once we get up in there, I'm actually gonna start playing with some of the features, including spot lock. Wow, it is super responsive too. The bow seems to be handling it really well. I was afraid this unit was gonna be super heavy, but it's really not.
If you guys are interested in checking out this motor, you can click the link in the description, and Tiny Boat Nation actually gave me a 5% coupon code for all of you. Use code Grayson Roberts at checkout for 5% off of the Autoboat.
Okay, so one thing that my Minn Kotas did have is the north heading feature, which basically means when you hit north, which this motor has, it keeps you in a complete straight line, which is totally insane because I'm pointing right at my fishing spot. We've got high winds, 15, 20 miles per hour coming this way. We've got tides moving us. So before I was snaking all over the place, but I just hit north, and as you can see ever so slightly, that head is making automatic movements to make sure I'm on a straight line. So we'll speed up here. And as you can see, it is pulling us right along, and you can see the adjustments. I'm not touching the motor. Hands free, look at that motor move. It is keeping us on a true north path, heading right to our spot, which basically means now my John boat is self-driving. This is so nuts. I'm sorry, Newport, but you just seem like a straight up doofus compared to the new smart motor. But to be fair, my Newport is compatible with the Autoboat. I can just sit back, relax, and hang out while my motor takes me to my fishing spot automatically. That is so nuts. But another thing that you can do is this motor connects with an app on your phone, and in your phone you can actually pre-program different routes. So if I wanted to go 2 miles around the cove, out of the bayou, up around the point in the main bay, and stop on my fishing spot, I can press head there and it will literally take me there. That is true self-driving. Now my John boat is just as technologically advanced as any Tesla on the market. Look at that, it's just constantly making micro adjustments, keeping us on a completely straight line. This is literally going to change the trolling motor game forever. The reason that this is so significant is because my kayaks, I have a fleet of Old Town Autopilots, they all have iPilots with Minn Kota, which basically is the same technology that's been around forever. And those kayaks cost $4,500 before taxes and shipping, and the motors cost $2,000 each, in their kayak iPilots. If you want a bow mount, you're gonna pay $2,500, $3,500 for a motor like this. Or you can go on Amazon, you can buy a $100 Minn Kota or a $100 Newport. You can buy the Autoboat Smart Head for about $700, and for less than $1,000, you have all of the same features, if not more. Because what is crazy about this, my $4,500 Autopilot kayaks don't have this feature. So if I click left, it's going to jog me about 5 feet to the left. Check this out. That just moved me about 5 foot that direction. It's called a jog feature. So then I can hold it down again, and it's gonna push me that direction, which is pretty cool. Set her back on north. Oh, it's pointing right back towards where it wants me to. Look at that. As my boat gets farther away from where I hit north, that head turns. It's taking me right back where I want. This is so nuts. This is literally going to disrupt the high-end trolling motor market forever. This is the biggest innovation in boating in a long time, probably since electric outboards hit the market, except this is way cheaper and way more functional than electric motors will probably ever be in the next 5 years. Look at this thing, dude. It's just pointing, it's just working, dude. I'm relaxing and it's working. Oh, this is so awesome. Okay, so we're about to test the #1 feature that every single person wants on their boat, and that is spot lock. We have a strong south wind and an incoming tide. So what I'm going to do is we're gonna motor about where I want to cast, and then we are going to hit spot lock and see if the world's cheapest John boat in my $300 Minn Kota will hold me in position. All right, I'm gonna turn the motor all the way off. You can feel that wind, man. So technically what should happen is I should hit spot lock, which I just hit, and it should swing us around this way because the wind is blowing that way. Look at that, doing its thing. It's figuring out where the current's going. No way, it's actually gonna do it. It's actually doing it. Look at that, we got spot lock, dude. Holy smokes. It's windy, but now I can toss some lures with no fear of my boat moving. What in the world? And it's actually holding me. Look, you can see the angle of the boat and you can see all that water flooding past me. It is actually holding me on spot lock. All right, spot lock has been doing a phenomenal job. We have not moved an inch. It is really incredible and it is super, super precise. So I'm gonna take it off spot lock and fire it back up. As you can see, we're moving again. And this thing just flat out works. It's so responsive. This is insane. Another sweet feature that it has is you can use your phone to control it. So if something happens to your battery, or you just prefer seeing what % throttle you're at, or whatever your reason may be, you can do everything through the remote or through the app, which is super cool. So you can do literally everything that the remote can do. Anchor, nav point, cruise control, your recordings, all that fun stuff. And of course, you can put it on spot lock from your phone, which is pretty awesome. It got really gloomy and really windy, so I'm gonna do a little bit of fishing and hope that some of this wind passes. The more that the day goes on, the more I realize that, you know, there's a lot of simple things that I can do on my kayaks with spot lock that I just flat out can't do. You know, rigging up, and like, I just lost a jig head, it snapped off. So I gotta tie a knot, I gotta put it on, I gotta put some scent on, I gotta do all that stuff. But doing that, you know, before I'd have to throw anchor, or I'd constantly have to use the tiller handle and reposition. So just being on this boat, this is the most comfortable I've ever been on this boat, simply due to the fact that, like, I can do simple things like tie a knot or check my phone without constantly having to set everything down and reposition and look over my shoulder. Just the convenience, man, it's I cannot imagine not having this at this point on this boat. Now I'm spoiled. I mean, spot lock is such a game changer. I've been sitting in this one spot with high winds, fishing, catching trout, and having an absolute blast, not even thinking about positioning. This is about the coolest thing I think I could have possibly ever done to the world's cheapest John boat. And what's cool is it's a clamp on. It can go on any boat. It's portable. It can go on the Pond Prowler. It can go on the Bass Hunters, the Quest Anglers. It can go on an aluminum John boat. It can go on anywhere. But one thing I do want to test before we finish today is I do want to put it in stern mode, because there actually is a mode where you can put it on the stern just like this trolling motor, and it changes things. You're gonna lose some features. I don't know if spot lock's gonna work. I don't know if a lot of the same things are gonna work, but we're gonna test it out by the end of this video. Yeah, this Autoboat is so awesome. Anytime I wanna move, I just start driving. Just use the remote control, that's all it takes. So convenient. This is a total game changer, because before I would have to like reach all the way down and grab that motor and just, you know, do that whole thing. But now I can just sit back here, kind of cruise to wherever I wanna cruise, and then hit spot lock. That is just so nuts. So I want to get a little bit farther down here, and then I'm going to hit spot lock right around here. So then it'll take care of the rest. It's probably going to swing me that way and put me into the wind, which is what it's supposed to do. Look at that. She's taking me around town. There we go. Another little turd. Nice, dink.
Now stick around because we are about to flip it over and do the stern mount experiment, and it actually has a dedicated stern mode, which is super cool. Also, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel because I will be making a full review going over all of the different features that the Autoboat has that I didn't really dig into on the first impressions test video. We're also going to have installation guides and other different experiments. I'm going to pit it up against the iPilot, and this same day I filmed a double trolling motor speed test, which is super fun, so stick around. But overall, so far, my thoughts are it's really blown me out of the way. To be honest, at first, I thought it might be a little bit gimmicky. But after installing it, realizing how quickly and easily it installs, and then dropping it in the water, using the remote, I mean, it just flat out works. It works just as good as my $2,000 kayak iPilots from Minn Kota. And those are basically top of the line motors. You're not going to find anything nicer than the Minn Kota iPilots. And the fact that this thing is comparable at a fraction of the cost is truly remarkable. Now, they're compatible with a lot of transom mount tiller models, but they're also working on making it compatible with 24 volt, 36 volt, and more bow mount trolling motors, including tiller handles and foot controls. So stay tuned to the channel because they're going to be rolling out all sorts of different types of smart heads for all sorts of different types of trolling motors.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is getting kind of freakishly dark and windy outside, and I'm about a mile from the boat ramp with a trolling motor. So we're gonna start heading that way, but you might notice that I don't have a motor anymore. That's because we're gonna try out stern mode. So in the app, you can actually turn on the function to make it stern mode, which is pretty cool because if you put it there in the stern, then the controls are all reversed. So you can just flip the remote upside down if you want, but you can turn on stern mode and now you can work it from the stern. So if your John boat doesn't have, maybe you have an aluminum and you don't have a bow mount bracket, well, now you can attach it to the stern. So I just turned on spot lock just because I'm super curious what functions we're gonna keep and what functions we are going to lose when we do turn it on stern mode. I would imagine the north head setting is going to be totally wonky and probably really hard to use. So I don't imagine that's gonna work, but we are spot locked right now. So it looks like spot lock will still work, except instead of your bow being pointed into the wind and the waves, it is now going to be your stern, which on calm waters is really not that big of a deal. But if you are going to be taking on all sorts of waves, you obviously are going to swamp your transom, and that is a no-no. So in this situation, it's pretty decent. So what I'm going to do is we are actually going to go back to the boat ramp. I'm going to drive in stern mode, and I'm gonna let you know what I like better, stern or bow. Let's see. Got to get it facing forward first. It's definitely, you can't see it when it's behind you. What I'm most curious about is tracking. So we know spot lock is going to work. Let me try the north setting real quick. Let's see what happens here. If I had to guess, the north heading, since it's not pulling the boat, it's pushing it. Yeah, it's getting crazy. Oh gosh, oh gosh. What is going on? Okay. All right, north setting does not work in reverse. Holy smokes. Okay, spot lock works. North does not work, just as I suspected. That's pretty normal. They even say, hey, you can put it on the stern. We'll give you stern mode, but it's not gonna be as functional. But it's an option for those that don't have a transom or a bow mount. I'm actually gonna use my phone to control it. There's something just fun about that. I ain't even looking at it, steering the boat. Steers it pretty good, not gonna lie. You know, it's cool, but I can already tell you right now, I'm gonna like it much better on the bow, but still an option. It feels a little bit more sluggish. I don't know how to explain it. We're going the same speed, really. We're going 3 miles an hour. We hit 4 on top speed. Let's go top speed. So we're going 3.5 miles an hour. That's definitely slower. We were hitting 4 miles an hour with it on the bow. So it's definitely slower. You're gonna lose the north heading feature and none of the follow features, none of the waypoint features. If you plug in a route on the GPS, none of that's gonna work on it because it's on the stern, but it's just less responsive. I mean, trolling motors at the end of the day really are built to pull boats, not push boats. And you know, the tiller models do a decent job, but unless you install a rudder on them, then they're pretty rough on tracking. And this guy is just definitely kind of snaking back and forth. When it's mounted on the bow, it really seems to pull it in a straight arrow. but I've noticed that I'm just kind of snaking and doing a lot more correcting, and I'm afraid to hit the north heading feature. It's gonna make me do a total 180 and drag my butt to who knows where. But yeah, I mean, it definitely absolutely works. You're gonna lose a couple features, you're gonna go probably a little bit slower, and you're gonna have a little bit harder time tracking. But would I suggest it if you could only put it on the stern? Absolutely. Otherwise, I'd be sitting on this bench at a 90-degree angle, constantly doing this, and my arms and shoulders hurt. So this is a much, 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 much better solution. This has been the Autoboat Smart Head long-awaited video. You can click the link in the description. They're coming out in batches at the time of upload. The next batch is going to come out March 1st. I don't know if that's when it's going to arrive in the facility or that's when it's actually going to be at your door, but these things are in demand. They can't keep them in stock fast enough. They are selling off the shelf. So click the link in the description, get in the pre-order, pick yourself up an Autoboat. I own iPilot motors, so I knew what to expect, but having it on my John boat, I might just, if I didn't have a kayak charter, I'd probably just get rid of the kayaks, dude. You can't beat this. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out. Subscribe for more tiny boat experiments and projects, and I will see you guys in the next video.